So anyway, that black line, we're thinking that was where the basketball court floor was. Went all the way down to the very end of the building at the alley. And there's another one on the far wall that we can't see. It's a little too far away. So this would have been pretty low floor compared to the rest of the building. And then above this floor, of course, they had the basketball court, and then above that they had a running track ringing the court. And that was pretty high up there. Now, right now we're looking down into an old well. Looks like a hand-dug well. Now this thing's been filled in. It's probably about 8, maybe 10 feet deep there at the deepest part. I'm sure it was deeper at one point. So I'm glad that's filled in, because that would have been quite dangerous. But if we leave the well and head towards the east, or the west, excuse me, towards where the fitness center is now, we'll see this kind of a trench starting to ramp down right here. So we head this way and get over to where the trench meets up with a trench that goes to the north. And this trench goes all the way back to the very back of the building. Now, if we can't really see it down there, there's a bunch of dirt and stuff in the middle of this trench. And Bob Smith tells me that in the 70s, I think 1974, when they had the big flood around here, it filled this whole bottom of the building, filled up the pool and everything. And it collapsed down this dirt tunnel down at the very end, this dirt trench. So the trench was, I'm wondering if maybe they used it for some water transportation, because it goes from that well clear back over and then down to here. So we get down to this bit of stuff that's collapsed down. If we could get through there, we would see there's another basement behind this basement. So underneath the screen there's a basement, okay? In that basement they have all kinds of stuff, like the old boilers and furnace and things are down there. We no longer use because it all got ruined during the flood. Now I'm standing in the trench, right? Okay, so look at that. We're looking up. There's the bunch of old bottles that would have been used for like syrup for sodas, when you still did the sodas by hand instead of the fountain drinks like we have now. Just a bunch of stuff that's been back here, stored underneath here. So we're going to leave the trench now and head back up. Here's another soda bottle. We'll get a closer look at this. This says it is fountain syrup for AAA root beer. Look at that. So anyway, not quite a gallon, maybe a gallon size. Yeah, it says 1 gallon on it. We've got a couple of, let's see, these are water coolers. Kind of neat looking. I'm going to take the lid off this so you can get a better look, maybe. There we go. So inside this water cooler we've got a ceramic jar with a little pipe that goes out of the jar, and then on the outside there's another ceramic jar, and I imagine you either put cold water or ice or something in here and it kept what's inside that jar cold. So we got a couple little spigots there, and this one must have been to empty the whole the outer area, and this would be to let water out of the inner area. So that'd be kind of a neat little system before you have refrigeration. Put that back on there. As we walk down here, you probably saw a bunch of junk on tables. Now we're looking back towards that well. There's the well there, okay? And the swimming pool's over here. So all this junk on these tables, most of it's plumbing supplies. There is some electrical stuff, but it's kind of a mixture of theater equipment and plumbing equipment. Not much good for anything. Now we do have, look at this, there's a Baby Ruth. Let me turn this upside down so you can read it, huh? It says Baby Ruth quarter pound. So some old Baby Ruth bars in that box, I guess. Over here we've got an old Tootsie Roll box, a rocket pack, a pocket pack of Tootsie Rolls. And we have an old Mounds box up here, chocolate covered coconut. So that's about all the interesting little, I guess some perforated tape joint system, who cares, right? But that's about all the little candy things we found. I'm trying to think if there's anything else back here that might be interesting, and I sure don't see it. So if you see something as we're walking around, if you saw something that you'd like me to come back and point out and get closer to, please send me a message, either on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you can get back to me on this, and we'll take a look. I guess I should explain as I'm walking back here. Okay, so once again, there's the well. We'll turn over here. There's the swimming pool over there. There's a big table built in here. This is kind of that workroom area I pointed out when we came down here. Most of this stuff is either from the old drive-in theater or just projection equipment that's been not used anymore, or concessions equipment. We can see some old slide projectors here. So this would have been when they had the big old glass slides, I think. 2 of these projectors, and there's an old reflector from a projector. And just a couple light fixtures. Well, anyway, that's enough of me talking about stuff that you really don't care about, right? Here's an old ticket booth. Well, there's actually some tickets still in the bottom of that thing. I guess they would tear the ticket apart and drop half of it in there and let you have the other half. And those tickets are 20 cents and 65 cents. And this thing here, we're pretty sure this is a dispenser for cigarettes before they were filtered, because these just aren't long enough for filtered cigarettes. But they sure do look like something you would stack cigarettes up in, and then you can just pull them right out of the bottom there. So those are kind of the most interesting things we found. There were a bunch of old film reels left behind here. There's a preview for a 1980s movie, and I haven't ever looked to see what's on these other ones. It'd be kind of interesting to run them while I still have the equipment to run it, huh? Found an old garlic juice bottle back here, and it is full of garlic juice. It smells, wow, about as strong as you can imagine garlic could smell. Here's a box of carbon arc rods, and what these are, before they started using the xenon bulbs in the projectors, they'd have these carbon rods there, and there would be a big electrical arc going between them, and that would provide all the light for the projector. So here we go. We're turning the last of the lights off. Take a quick look around. We've got, standing here where the back of the restrooms are going to be. Here's the ISIS Theater. You can see the very back of it. If you've come in the last year, you've seen that view right there when you came in. And these bridge planks are where the seating used to be at the very back of the theater. I'm standing right below the old projector booth that I was using, and there is the very back, the very front of the old projector booth. You can see the electrical box and the light switches right up there that I was using to run my stuff. Well, the old projector booth was behind that. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to shut this down now. We got 13 minutes of video, and I think that's quite enough of you listening to me rant. So, hey, thanks a lot for being patient with me.